I've been building with Lovable every day, and it ships a full-stack app faster than Claude Design can finish a mock-up. You get real React code, a live deployed URL, GitHub sync from day one, and you own every line. And here's the crazy part. Lovable Pro starts at $25 a month. A landing page costs about 1.70 credits to build. And 2 Claude Design sessions alone can eat 58% of your Pro weekly quota. You're paying similar money, but only one of these tools actually gives you a deployed product you can clone and self-host. So in the next 9 minutes, you're going to walk away knowing exactly which tool to open when you sit down to build today. Because if you're still defaulting to Claude Design for every project, you might be leaving a fully shipped product on the table every single time. My name is Brian, and I'm in these tools 12 hours a day, so you don't have to be. I've tried pretty much every AI builder that's dropped in the last year, and I track what actually ships versus what just looks good in a demo. I read every comment, so tell me below, are you Team Lovable, Team Claude Design, or are you still figuring it out? So, here's what's happening right now. Claude Design is genuinely good at what it does. It reads your codebase and your design files, picks up your brand colors and typography, and produces interactive, clickable mockups that feel polished and on-brand in a way most AI tools just can't match. That design system awareness is real, and it's impressive. But there's a massive problem. Claude Design doesn't give you the code. It exports a zip file, a PDF, some HTML, and then you hand that off to Claude Code and hope the translation works. You don't get GitHub sync, you don't get a deployed URL, and you don't own a production codebase. That's a design studio, not a factory, and Lovable exists precisely because ownership matters. Okay, so let's talk about cost, because this is where a lot of people get surprised. The price tags look similar on the surface, but what you actually get per dollar is very different. And Lovable's credit model is transparent and per message, which changes the math pretty quickly when you start building real things. So when I tried building with Lovable, the credit system covers landing pages, full React apps, Supabase backends, auth flows, deployment configs, the list goes on. A landing page runs about 1.70 credits. Claude Design's Pro plan is $20 a month, which sounds cheaper, but 2 design sessions can eat 58% of your weekly quota on Opus 4.7. Now, to be fair, that 58% figure is community reported, so take it with a grain of salt. The pattern is consistent though. Opus 4.7 is a heavy model and it chews through tokens fast. Lovable's credit per message model at least lets you see what each build costs before you commit. And that predictability is worth something real when you're budgeting a project. Now, output quality is where things get genuinely interesting, and I think this is the one area where Claude Design has a real concrete advantage. The question isn't just which tool makes something that looks good, it's whether the output actually matches your brand without you spending an hour writing custom prompts to get there. So here's how I think about the output options, from easiest to hardest. Drop a prompt into Lovable and you get a functional React app fast, but the visual style is pretty generic without expert prompting. Put the same prompt into Claude Design and it reads your existing files and applies your brand colors and typography automatically. Do expert prompting in Lovable to get custom visuals, which works, but it takes real effort. Claude Design's outputs are interactive and clickable, not static images, and community reports say they feel more complete and advanced than what Lovable produces by default. But if your goal is a working product and you're willing to iterate on the visuals, Lovable's functional output gets you to a real deployed app way faster than any mockup will. Okay, code, export, and ownership. This is the one that actually matters most if you're building something you plan to grow. Because if you can't take the code and run it somewhere else, you're not building a product, you're renting one. And that distinction is super duper important when things start getting real. I went in thinking this was another AI builder that locks you in and makes exporting a pain. But then I actually tried it, and Lovable continuously syncs your full React, Vite, TypeScript, Tailwind codebase plus your Supabase config straight to GitHub or GitLab. You clone it, you self-host it, you deploy it to Vercel or Netlify. It's just yours. Claude Design exports to a zip, a PDF, Canva, or standalone HTML. That's not production code. There is a handoff path to Claude Code, which is actually pretty elegant as a design to development loop. but it's still a translation step, and you're depending on that handoff working cleanly every time, which is a real caveat worth keeping in mind. All right, quick pause. If this is already saving you time, hit subscribe. The next video goes deeper on Lovable's prompting workflow, and it builds directly on what we're covering here. You'll want that context before we keep moving. Now let's talk collaboration, because this one is a little more nuanced than the others. Both tools let multiple people work on the same project, but the way they handle access control and governance is pretty different. And that gap matters a lot more once you've got a team bigger than 2 or 3 people touching the same build. So I built a small project on Lovable's $25 Pro plan and invited 2 collaborators, no extra seat cost, because Lovable prices by credits, not seats, and everyone saw changes live. Claude Design has an admin custom role that can actually approve and lock down a design system so nobody goes off-brand, and that's a real governance feature. Lovable doesn't match right now. For most solo builders and small teams, Lovable's unlimited members on all plans is plenty. You get viewer, editor, admin, and owner roles, and real-time changes sync for everyone. But if you're running a larger design team where brand consistency is a hard requirement, Claude Design's admin lockdown feature is genuinely useful, and Lovable just doesn't have an equivalent yet. Okay, speed to ship. This is Lovable's whole identity, right? The entire value prop is that you type a prompt and you get a deployed product, not a mockup, not a handoff, not a translation step, just a live URL. And once you see how fast that actually happens, it's kind of hard to go back. I know full stack in minutes sounds like jargon, so here's what that actually means in practice. Lovable generates React with Vite, TypeScript, Tailwind CSS, a Supabase backend with PostgreSQL and auth, and one-click deployment, all from a single prompt. That's a real production stack, not buzzword stacking. Claude Design gives you a prototype, then you hand off to Claude Code as a separate step before anything ships. Worth noting, Claude Design is still in research preview as of April 2026, and it requires an active Claude subscription to use it all. The handoff to Claude Code is a clean loop, I'll give it that, but it's an extra step that adds time and a dependency, and if your goal today is a live product, Lovable removes that step entirely, which is not a small thing. So here's the real split. They're waiting on a designer to hand off Figma files. You're shipping a deployed React app from one prompt. They're burning tokens on mockups and hoping the translation to code works. You're getting full GitHub sync and a Supabase backend on day one. They're locked into a platform they can't export from. You're cloning your repo and self-hosting whenever you want. That's the Lovable difference. Now, Claude Design genuinely wins on design fidelity. If your job is producing pixel-faithful, on-brand mockups that a big engineering team then builds from, its design system awareness and Opus 4.7 polish are real advantages. Lovable can't match by default, and the admin lockdown for larger teams is solid too. I want to be straight with you. Nobody's paying me for this, and I have no relationship with either company. This is just what the data shows. So here's what you should do. First, go to lovable.dev right now and sign up for the free tier. You get 5 daily credits just for showing up, so you can try a real build today without spending anything. Second, type one prompt describing the app you've been putting off, something simple like a landing page or a dashboard, and let it run. Third, connect your GitHub account and sync the repo before you close the tab. That's the ownership move, and it takes about 30 seconds. Fourth, if you're working on something that needs to match an existing brand, open Claude Design in a separate tab and compare the outputs side by side on the same prompt, and you'll know which tool fits your actual workflow pretty fast. Within 2 years, the tools that win are going to be the ones that give you full code ownership from day one, and Lovable is already there. If you start building on it now, you're ahead of the people who are still waiting on handoffs and mockup loops. One prompt, a deployed React app, GitHub sync included. That's the bet worth making early. If this helped you figure out which tool actually fits your workflow, hit like and subscribe. The next video breaks down Lovable's prompting system in detail, and it's going to make everything we covered here click into place a lot faster. See you there.